Sadness is an endless pit, and eventually the void will reach out its skinny fingers and put your weak neck in a chokehold. As you can tell from my monotone voice and the fact that I make YouTube videos, I don't lead a fulfilling life. So based on my riveting experience as a veteran crier, here are the top locations to let it all out and say to the world, yes, I'm emotionally unstable, and no, I'm not going to do anything to fix it. Number 1. Your dusty-ass childhood bedroom. Whether your mother has just yelled at you for being a disappointment, or it's nighttime and you've been left alone with your own thoughts. This haven for empty water bottles and crumbs from miscellaneous snacks that you binge on because you've replaced human touch for carbohydrates is the OG crying location. Is there any adolescent experience more universal than sobbing into your pillow until your tiny, exhausted body is lulled into a deep sleep? Here's a tip. If you have posters, particularly ones depicting anime characters, and don't lie to me, I know that you have them, make sure to cover their eyes with some piece of tape or maybe an article of cloth that you found in your closet for some reason. That way you don't feel the shame of having Sasuke watch you as your life deteriorates. He's already witnessed you going through puberty, so God knows that he's suffered enough. Number 2, a dirty bathroom stall. Always a classic, like wearing all black or engaging in war to protect oil interests. It never goes out of fashion. This is best for those hard yet silent crying sessions, where you clutch at the sides of the bathroom stall like a feral cat drowning in a well, and hope to God that the person next to you doesn't hear you deeply inhale for oxygen every 10 seconds. I personally prefer bathrooms in places like airports or port authorities. Anywhere where the design of the building screams, I hate you on a personal level, and I'm glad that you are suffering. I'm talking about the bathrooms that have the lighting of a Korean horror film, except instead of fighting for your survival, you accept death with a warm embrace and a cold refreshment. Number 3, a changing room. Oh, body dysmorphia. Like the smallpox virus, you've permanently embedded yourself into my body and refuse to leave despite several eviction notices. The glistening you see on the changing room tiles of Forever 21 is not glitter. It is in fact the tears of thousands of teenage girls that realized that that's not baby fat, it's just regular fat. Accidentally connecting eyes with another teen girl through the cracks of the changing room door as you both try to squeeze your misshapen bodies into a skirt that you saw one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse wearing, before staring at your reflection in the mirror and wondering why God has forsaken you, is one of the most unifying female experiences. In that moment, the two of you become one. This experience is made even more depressing by the fact that most of those clothes have security tags on them, so if you plan on shoplifting, you're gonna have to make a run for it. Number 4, on a swing. A great combo if you're an exhibitionist and want some childhood nostalgia. I personally like to hold up my high school diploma to my face as I weep, as a warning sign to the children playing that this could be them in the future. If anything, I consider it a public service. Number 5, a Taco Bell parking lot. The ambiance is fantastic. On the astral plane, Taco Bell is located right between stoners and the perpetually depressed, at an intersection that I have had the delight of being stuck in for the past 5 years, like a sad Gordita Crunch-filled purgatory. Weeping into a Doritos Locos Tacos while making eye contact with a confused but mostly terrified Korean family is truly transcendent, and an experience that I hope every American has. I recommend switching between several different Taco Bell locations instead of just going to one, because you don't want the staff to begin recognizing you. Once the cashier knows you on a first-name basis, that's when you know that you've hit rock bottom, and no amount of chalupas is gonna save your soul now. Number 6, a Dick's Sporting Goods parking lot. The heterosexual energy that emanates from this place is truly astonishing. It's always nearly empty as well, so this vending machine for suburban dads wearing khaki pants is a great place to go to ensure that the manufacturers of antidepressants never go out of business. If sitting in your own car in an empty parking lot makes you feel like you're suffocating in your own mediocrity, then you can always scurry into one of the stores and hide out in the kayaks. I managed to camp out in one of those bad boys for over a fortnight before the staff noticed me, and that was only because they eventually heard me bumping the Cheetah Girls soundtrack. Number 7, the back alley of a Chinese restaurant. The scent of MSG and broken immigrant dreams wafting in the air really relax the tear ducts, enabling the tears to flow out quicker. The great news is that one of the fry cooks will probably stumble back there to take a smoke break or just to scream, so eventually you'll have some company. I'd advise you to strike up a conversation with them. Build up a rapport. I'm now good friends with a nice young man named Li Huan. Sometimes he sneaks me cold noodles. He thinks that I'm homeless, only because I repeatedly told him that I was. Is lying to an innocent man worth it just to slurp down some cold carbs? Abso-freaking-lutely. Number 8. On a park bench. This is preferable if you're in a large city, that way you have more witnesses, and if you're lucky, you might spot a rodent. I once witnessed a rat roll a blunt in the middle of Washington Square Park. I didn't even know they had opposable thumbs. It was mesmerizing. It should have been a designated tourist attraction. He even offered me a hit, but I had to decline because I had given it up for Lent. Not drugs, sharing. I recommend waiting for a little bit after you finish crying, because then you might be lucky enough to witness the rats and pigeons of the city fighting for territory. Always bet your money on the rats, because the pigeons might be fearless, but those rats don't fear God or death. Number 9. On the New York City subway. Despite what you think, nobody will notice you. Just make sure that you sob silently. The rule of New York City is that if you're going to have a public breakdown, at least be quiet about it. The great news is that once you emerge from the subway, you might be greeted by one of the 7 wonders of the world, the Black Israelites. A combination of my 2 favorite things, conspiracy theories and men in do-rags yelling at me on the street. If you have time, create your own makeshift posters, begin protesting alongside them. Maybe convert, rise up in their ranks, eventually extort the church leaders for money, flee to the Caribbean, write a riveting memoir about your experience, then return to New York as an eccentric but mysterious millionaire, and then do the whole thing over again. Number 10. On Instagram Live. Low on this list because it's only fun if people bother to watch. If you're irrelevant like me and cannot afford to film in an elaborately decorated mansion, all you get is a low battery life and ask to leave the mystery section at Barnes & Noble. I'd advise against this if you're prone to legal trouble, because having your breakdowns filmed and broadcasted can easily be used against you in court hearings or custody battles. So if you want to see your kids again, Greg, put the phone down. And finally, my personal favorite, number 11. In your car on a rainy day listening to Landslide by Stevie Nicks. I decided to place this location at the end of my list because the combination of Stevie Nicks' soothing voice combined with the gentle pitter-patter of rain on the windshield of my tiny, shitty car results in a sense of calmness that washes over me. And for a moment I think, you know what? Maybe everything will be okay. Or not. You know, that's always a possibility. So